Buongiorno! We've decided to put together a collection of memories from our 2018 Med Cruise and 5-day stay in Rome. 2018 Making Memories.
About a year ago, Marie and I were planning a trip in our RV on Highway 95, going from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way to Maine. We were going to take like 4, 5, 6 months to do it. In the process, we'd just gotten back from AAA where we'd gotten all the maps for the trip, and we had all the maps spread out, and we got an email from Norwegian Cruise Line offering us a really good deal on a Mediterranean cruise. Well, I got to talking to Marie that when I was in the Marine Corps, we did 3 med cruises, 6 months each, and all the ports that Norwegian was going to were the same ports that we had gone to when we were in the Marine Corps. Marie says, I want to go. And I said, think about it, and the next morning you said what?
Book it, Dano.
And we did.
We started talking to the cruise agent, and she informed us that you could take the cruise out of Rome instead of its home port, Barcelona. So we decided to do that. We put it on Facebook, invited all the kids or anyone, and Jen and Jimmy got back in touch with us and said they wanted to come and had booked their suite next to ours.
Now that we booked the trip, we spent the next year going around on Google and the internet and talking to different people about what we could do, what we could see, and what the best way to do it once we got to Rome and the different places. The cruise was going to take us from Rome to Livorno, which is Pisa, then to Cannes in France, Palma de Majorca, Barcelona, back to Naples in Italy, and then back to Rome, which was the final cruise. So after spending a year planning, looking, we were so excited when the day finally arrived. Jumped in the car with too many bags of our luggage, and off to the airport we went. We went from here to JFK. We switched planes in JFK, and it took a very long flight to Rome International Airport when we landed. Now, once we got to the airport, the hotel had sent a Mercedes?
Black Mercedes limousine.
Sent a black Mercedes limousine, and when we walked out of the baggage claim, there stands a guy with our name on it. And Marie got so excited, her first time to be escorted by a limo. So they picked us up, and off to the hotel we went. And the hotel was what?
The Hotel Napoleon. It was originally a family estate right in the center of town, you could say, next to the train station. And for the last 60 years, it's been a hotel run by the same family. And it's just was so Rome. It was old.
One of the benefits of being at the Hotel Napoleon was the metro was right outside the front door. The metro was the subway in Rome, and we learned very quickly how to ride the subway. The first day we got there, we went to the Termini, which is the train station. And we learned how to take the train, which we found that everything on the internet had been pretty much straightforward.
Yeah, it was easy. It was really easy to do.
It was, and then we took the subway, the metro, from the Termini. Well, we took it from the hotel to the Termini, and from the Termini we went to the Colosseum and the Roman Forum. We had reserved tickets, but we had to pick up our tickets, even though we weren't going to go there that day. And the crowds were incredible. We were so glad that we bought tickets because we bought tickets ahead of time.
Yeah.
And that day they said it was only about 2 or 3 in the afternoon that they were already sold out and had been sold out for that particular day, and only people with reserved tickets could get in.
Yep.
So back to the hotel, we had a nice dinner, and then the next morning it was off to
Florence on a high-speed train. It was an easy do, and it was worth everything. We got to see the Tuscany Valley and everything, and it was just all countryside, very little city.
Mm-hmm. And the train travels at 160 miles an hour. We saw one sign that said the train's traveling now 258 kilometers, and it looked it too.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. The countryside was beautiful. And then we left at 8:30 in the morning, and then about a half hour after we're on the train, here comes the little court like they do in the airplane, and had coffee and cold drinks and a pastry that they passed out. And it was really nice. It was fun. Let's put it that way.
It was
fun.
And then when we got to Florence, we were off and walking. We had already mapped it out. We had tickets, the head of the line tickets, thank goodness, because the line was several blocks long when we got there, and they too were sold out for the day, but we had reserved tickets. We went right in, and we went to the Accademia, where Michelangelo's David and a lot of other works of Michelangelo were on display. And that was some of really incredible.
Oh God, it was beautiful. It was big, really big. Until you see it, you don't realize how big the statue is. But it's just gorgeous. That's all you can say. It's so unique, very pretty. The artwork too in that area was good. Little that I know of artwork, but I enjoyed it.
And then after the Accademia, of course, Marie had found on the way to the Accademia a market, a shopping center, but it was an outdoor market. And we found that when we got to the Accademia coming out, that the outdoor market was next to a 3-story large building, which was also a market, so we had to take Marie shopping. And then first floor was
butcher shops. Any kind of butcher shop you would want, wide open. Seafood markets, seafood I had never seen. Anything like that, pastas, everything was like a shopping center. Then you go up to the second floor and it's all cooked food, little restaurants. And all in the middle is tables and chairs. You go up, you order something, and you sit down. It was the best pizza we ate the whole trip.
We did.
It was right there.
It was the Florence style pizza, which was very thin, and we had what they called the Margherita pizza. And it's tricolors of the flag of Italy. It's green, and red, and white. The white being mozzarella, no meat, but the crust and everything was just excellent. The rest of the day we spent looking around the sights of Florence. We stopped and got gelato.
Yes.
Stopped and drank some Italian beer. Yes. And then we were on the train back to Rome. And again, that high-speed train was really something else. And I think that night we had dinner in the hotel again, didn't we? Or no, was that?
No, we went walking, looking for the laundromat.
We sure
and we
did.
found a restaurant.
Because one day we had to do the laundromat, and so that kind of ended our second day in Rome.
This is day 3, and it's a special day for us. We'll be going to Mass at St. Peter's at 10:30 Mass, and we're excited.
Another thing that was real special is that at 12 o'clock we were hoping to see the Pope, because the Pope was supposed to give his annual Sunday blessing at noon right there in St. Peter Square. So we were hoping to come out of Mass and see that. We were able to do Mass at the main altar, and we had a cardinal, 9 archbishops, which one of them fell asleep, kind of like Mass at home, and a slew of monsignors and priests, and it was a high Mass. It was done with all the flair that we would have at Christmas time, and it was done at the main altar in St. Peter's.
And it was in Latin.
Yes, and the homily was in Italian, so we didn't. We understood the Latin from both of us growing up in the church, but that was a different story.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, we came out, and the crowds were incredible.
Oh my God, like a sea of heads. It was. Yeah.
And
when we went in, they had some people waiting. We went in about 9:30, and they had people already waiting, and then when we came out, it was like, wow.
And when the Pope came out, he came out of his apartment. He didn't do the main thing at St. Peter. He came out on the side, and in the distance, we could just make out a little teeny weeny white dot.
It's big.
And we kept trying to move closer, but the crowd, it was just too big. But we did get a few pictures, and the Pope did come out, and he gave us his blessing, and we got everything blessed that we had with us. And then we got back on the metro, headed back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Got some lunch, changed clothes, and something more comfortable. And then we went to the Colosseum.
Yes, we went to the big old Colosseum.
Like you said, It's the Superdome with no roof.
With no roof and no floor.
Yeah, it had.
When you walk in, when you finally get to see the floor, what we call the floor, it's not there, but they have like slots.
It was all the rooms that they used to keep the gladiators and the animals in.
But there's, there's no. So that it's like you could hear them.
Yes.
You could hear them.
It was absolutely amazing, and the crowds were just absolutely incredible because, fortunately, we had looked at Rick Steves' tour guide, and it said make sure you get head of the line, advance tickets, and we did, and it really worked out well.
Yes.
And then after the Coliseum, we crossed the street. We then walked on the same stones that Romans walked on 2,000, 3,000 years ago. They said over the years that Rome had actually raised about 20, 30 feet from the rivers and the dust and the storms that had brought the mud and so forth in. They have now excavated down to the original streets and the original cobblestones that were there when the Caesars walked. And then you found a special place.
Yes, I found the house that Caesar lived in at the time. All they've been able to excavate is a couple of little walls of like a little separate building. But people bring flowers to it because that's where he was raised. It's like, I'm like, really? And it's just, but it gives you the heebie-jeebies to know that they all walked through this. And then they had ruins of all kind of...
the Senate, the forums.
Senate, the cathedrals, the one that where the Virgin stayed and everything. It was so interesting. It really was. It was beautiful.
It was a lot of walking, too. It was up and down hills. When they say Rome's built on 7 hills, I think we walked up and down each one of them.
Yeah, I think that's true, too, but... And it's so uneven and all, but it's worth it. It's amazing. You need to know a little bit of history, and I don't know a whole lot, but Rick does. And he would explain things to me, how, people got around and that this is where they were.
And then after we left the forum, we went back to the hotel, we cleaned up, and we asked the people at the hotel if they could recommend a restaurant for the night. And we went to this little restaurant around the corner from the hotel that they had recommended. And it was a great little place. It was packed. It was a little short line when we got there. The owner came out. They had one table right in the center outside that was being reserved. And the owner came out and said, no, we have people waiting. These people didn't show up. Give them the table. So us and another couple that was standing next to us, we sat down and they actually put us at the same table.
Yeah.
And we introduced ourselves and I said, I guess we're having dinner together tonight. And come to find out that was Robert and Victoria from Liverpool, England.
Uh-huh.
And we hit it off right away. And
real sweet couple.
Oh, he's an EMT in Liverpool and she works testing blood for the hospital. And by the time the evening wore on, and the drinks kept coming.
Yes.
We closed the restaurant down well past midnight. The next day was day 4 in Rome. Now that was the day we were going to do the secret food tours and at Piazza Navona. And we were also going to meet Jim and Jen, who were flying in from Tucson. They were supposed to get in around 10 o'clock and they hoped to be in the piazza and meet us around 1 or 2 o'clock. Well, we took off and we met our little guide. There was about 7 or 8 people. And he took us around to Campo de Fiona. And we got a chance to drink cappuccino, espresso. And then he took us and we tried that place where there was different types of pastry. And then there was another shop we went to, which was cheeses.
Uh-huh.
And then another shop we went to, the meats, the different types of meats and so forth.
Yeah.
And we were just sitting down for a pasta dinner when I got a text from Jim and Jen that they were back at Piazza Navona already. So we quickly ate our cacio de pepe. Now, if you ever go to, well, you don't even need to go to Rome, but you got to try cacio de pepe. It's an Italian pasta with just a cheese, cream sauce. It is absolutely the best. But anyway, we took off. We met them back at Piazza Navona. And from Piazza Navona, we walked around. We saw some of the sights there. We then left Piazza Navona and we went to the Pantheon. which was a short distance away. The Pantheon is this huge cathedral that's over 2,000 years old. It's the oldest building in Rome. And they say it's perfectly 142 square foot circumference. You could put a round ball in there. And they did all this back in the days when there was no tools. I mean, everything was done by hand. It took them a couple hundred years to actually build the building, finish it. And today, unfortunately, there is a crack started in the wall, which they're watching real close. And hopefully that building will last another 2,000 years because it's quite the building to see. Everybody has to go see the Pantheon.
The art in there is very pretty too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And then from there we went to Trevi Fountain.
Trevi Fountain,
Yeah.
yes.
We all sat there for quite a while. We threw the coins in the fountain. 3 coins in the fountain. And it was, the crowds everywhere were just tremendous. But we were able to get right down next to the water and,
sat on the ledge.
And Jim kept saying, just sit here. And people would get up and leave. We'd scoot over a little bit or scoot down a little bit. And next thing you know, we were right there on the water. And then we went to
the Spanish Steps.
Yes.
Which is gorgeous. The area is gorgeous, and you'll see pictures of people sitting on the steps to watch the sunset and all. And I look up and there's 39 steps, straight up. So Rick says, there's an elevator, and I said, yeah. And they all said, well, take the elevator, we'll meet you up there. And I said, no, I'm doing the steps. So with the help of my family, I made it all the way up. And when you turn around and look at the piazza in Rome, it's worth it. It was beautiful. The sun was setting. It was just gorgeous.
Had a great time. We got back to the hotel. We had dinner in the hotel that night. No, we went back to that same restaurant.
Brought the kids to the restaurant.
And they had a good time. We got the toasting with the kids too. It's the same thing we did the next day. We got up early because we had tickets, head of the line tickets for the Vatican Museum. That's the way to go. We got there and they were a good half-mile line, easily a half-a-mile line. It went all the way around the walls of the Vatican. And we found out they too were sold out, but head of the line, they had reserved tickets, and so we were able to get in. Now, this is the time we'd taken the metro a couple times with Jim and Jennifer. Jimmy's not real good on crowds, but we're trying to show Jim the proper way to ride the metro, how to put your ticket in and get on the train. And we told him when that ding, 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 ding goes, you gotta be on the train because them doors close fast. Well, Jim was kind of letting the crowds thin out before he got on, and when the doors closed, 3 of us are on, me, Marie, and Jennifer, and Jimmy's standing outside the door going, and the train took off. And we looked at Jennifer, she says, oh my gosh, we lost Jimmy. But he's a pretty smart kid. He joined us at the stop. He knew which stop to get off on, so we got off, we waited for the next train. And these trains run every 4 or 5 minutes, so they're real fast. And we walked to the Vatican Museums. Just an incredible display of art. Room after room after room of statues and carvings and paintings and depictions of all kinds of stuff. There's even this one little tool, which I'm going to put a picture of it up, and maybe somebody can tell me what this was. It's from a couple hundred years BC, and it's a strange little tool that I can't figure out what it does. But after we left there, we decided we're going to go to St. Peter's and go back in to St. Peter's again. Now, we'd already been in, but we were going to show Jim and Jennifer. But the line, and we didn't have head of line there. The head of the line to get in, because you have to go through security, was long. And while we're looking for the end of the line,
the heavens opened up and he blessed us with rain.
A lot of rain.
A lot of downpour rain. We had umbrellas, we had ponchos, rain ponchos, but it's still, the water accumulated, your feet, but it was fine. It was okay. It didn't last long. We found a shelter. Of course, we got soaked by the time we got, but it wasn't bad. It was beautiful. After that, the skies were blue.
And then we went back to the hotel. I think we ate dinner in the hotel that night. And
yeah, because we had eaten a late lunch.
Right. Yeah. And then the next morning, we were off to the ship. and it was about the hotel had provided a van for us. We loaded up about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it took about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to Civitavecchia, and I know I've mispronounced that, but it's the port of Rome where we met the ship. And to come over this mountain road, and you can see it off in the distance, there sits the Norwegian Epic. It is a monster ship, 3 football fields long, 4,000 passengers, 700 crew.
1,700.
1,700 crew, yes.
Yes.
And we had a beautiful room. Why don't you tell us about the room?
Oh, we had gotten a balcony suite, and it was perfect. I mean, more storage than you know what to do with, really. I lost stuff because I didn't remember where it had put. We forgot to tell you, the first night on the ship, we had reservations, and we went eat at the Tapinaco. It was a hibachi place, and it was delicious. We had the funniest little cook, so it was enjoyable. We had a good time, and then had a drink, and then retired. The next day was in Livorno, and that night we went to see one of the shows on the ship. We went eat first at one of the free restaurants. It was very good, called Taste. And then we went to see Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. It's an original Broadway show, and it's transvestites. It is so funny.
And now, the next morning we wake up, we're in Cannes. But it's a small port, Cannes, France, and it was the film festival week that we were there. And they use what they call tendering. They use the lifeboats, they're big lifeboats. 300 people get on these boats, and they tender you to shore. And then we got ashore. Jimmy says, I want to walk up there to that fort or castle. Wasn't sure what it was. And we thought it was like a switchback getting up there, but unfortunately it was like 800 steps. Up, flat, up, flat, up, flat. We finally get up there, and all 4 of us, I think, were exhausted on that trip. And we find out it's just a museum now. So we look down and we can see all these people having this big party down at the film festival. So we decided to work our way down, and we came across this really unique French shopping center. Very old. It had all these little shops, little cobblestone streets. And
Can barely fit a car down the streets, but there were streets and streets of them.
But I don't think they let cars down that street. I didn't see any
They had
cars.
the smart cars.
Yeah, and the scooters.
Yep.
And they had everything from fine jewelry to butcher shops and seafood and people.
Restaurants.
Oh gosh, all kinds of stuff. And then we ended up at the film festival. It must have been Japanese day because there was a lot of Japanese cameras and people dressed up in tuxedos that were all Japanese. And we didn't get invited in, of course, because we didn't speak Japanese, I guess. And
I think that's it.
I think you forgot the ticket, left it on the ship. The
Oh, I could be too.
But anyway, we made it back to the ship, and that night we had something you had been wanting to see. We had On the Floor for the Cirque.
Cirque Dreams, it was called. And it was a live circus. And
like Cirque du Soleil.
yes, that. And we had a meal with it, which was really nice. And it was good. It was really good.
These kids really did a workout.
Oh, gosh.
Then after many a drink at the bar with our favorite bartender, Mr. Rick and Mr. Double Crown, his son, Mr. Double Crown, we ended up the next morning in a place called Palma de Majorca, Spain. And when we got there, we could see up towards the center of the city, there was a large cathedral. So we made our way to this cathedral, and it was amazing. It's over, I think they said 1,800 years old. It was gorgeous. It was just some of the, and it had all of these little sections on the side where we kind of figured from the guides and everybody that very rich people and cardinals that had, died, that was their little, that's where they were buried there, and them and their families. Back then, the cardinals had families, and even one cardinal had a girlfriend. That's our Catholic Church.
That was the night that we had dinner at the Manhattan, which is another free restaurant, excellent food. And then we went watch the Beatles.
Now, you liked the Beatles, but I kind of thought the Beatles were a little bit, They looked like the Beatles. They dressed like the Beatles. They had haircuts like the Beatles. They really didn't sound that much like the Beatles. They sang the Beatles music, but
nobody sounds like the Beatles.
well, whatever.
But they were good.
And the next morning, we ended up in Barcelona, Spain. And there we had gotten the hop-on, hop-off tickets on one of those hop-on, hop-off buses. And we had there, again, the head-of-the-line tickets for the Sagrada de Familia. That is probably going to be the largest church in the world when they're finished. It was started in 1889 by an architect named Gaudi. And Gaudi, G-A-U-D-I.
D-I.
And
he was an artist also.
An artist and an architect. And he began designing this church. It just grew and grew and grew. And he died in 1929, they said, but they're still building the church. It's still under construction and will be for another 20, 30 years. And as you'll see from the pictures, it's absolutely amazing. Then we got back on the hop-on, hop-off, and we rode all over Barcelona. And we got off at that famous walk, the one where, unfortunately, the La Cambalis, where they had the terrorist attack here about 5-6 months ago. So that kind of concerned us, but I don't see how he was able to get in there because they've really barricaded it off real good. And then we pulled into Naples, and Lori and Ernesto decided to join us. They got permission from the ship because they're not supposed to leave the ship with passengers, but the ship, their bosses gave them permission, and we went and looking for the famous pizza. We had discovered on the Food Channel that there was a place in Naples where they called it the home of modern or old Naples type pizza. Now, when we got there, it was closed. So we had to walk around a little bit. It opened at noon, and we got back about 11:30. There was a line out front. By noon when it opened, the line went all the way down the block and around the corner. And we got in, and we decided to share one large pizza between the four of us. All of us said the same thing. It was good, but
it was mushy.
In the middle.
In the middle. They like it mushy, where the texture is not something we're used to. The flavor was excellent, but it was something about the texture.
Yeah.
Even Ernesto, who I think could eat a horse, had trouble.
Yeah.
He just wouldn't leave it. That's the problem. So he finished it.
So what are your final comments? What was your highlight of the trip?
Well, the highlight of my trip was Mass.
Yes, mine too.
You know, because we did do our vows to each other again.
And we did communion.
And we did communion.
And the ceiling didn't crack.
Yeah, that was the most amazing.
Yeah, that was one of the good things about the trip.
But that was a highlight for us. The kids made the trip very enjoyable, which we knew they would. We wish more of them could have come with us, but we understand. It was, but we just had a fabulous time. I saw things I never thought I'd really see for real, not just pictures,
And that's about it.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed sharing our Making Memories 2018 bed cruise.